Hello and welcome to Back to the Boardroom. I'm James.
And I'm Greer.
And this is episode 1. We're in Austria. We're back.
Yeah. I wish we were actually in Austria. I'd really love to go. It looked amazing.
What would you have done? Glacier or forest?
I think glacier, because that seems good for some Instagram photos and I wouldn't have had to yodel. So that's a
Not
plus.
for £15 a photo though, I don't think. Or 15
No,
euros.
maybe not. Pricing was a big issue this week.
Indeed. So we've got loads to get through today. And yeah, I'm excited.
Me too. So first off, shall we quickly remind people, even though you will have just watched it, what the task was all about and what happened, as the first week is always a good one because that's when we start seeing where the cracks are showing, some people's personalities rubbing up against each other, and also the fight for that first project manager position that no one ever wants to have.
Absolutely. So the two teams were tasked with going to Austria and putting on a, I guess, professional tour of either the glacier area or the forest area. So I think unlike other challenges of this kind, their whole itinerary was planned for them. They had no decision about them. So it was mainly the selling, the bartering for the best prices, and obviously learning the facts or giving the fun, as we saw.
Yeah, it very much seemed facts or fun, didn't it, this week?
It did.
So one of my favourite quotes is, that's the only thing I seem to write down these days in our notes for Back to the Boardroom, are things that make me laugh and funny quotes. So when they were coming up with who wanted to be project manager this week, Nadia went straight in by saying that she wanted to be project manager and she would be successful because she was militant. And I just thought, what a weird way to describe yourself. That's not someone that I'd want to work with.
On the militant theme, you know, when they're introducing all the candidates, who comes up with their lines? Like the best line that I pulled out of the pack was, "I'm the human equivalent of a tank and nothing gets in my way."
That's what I thought. That was Mia. I remember her saying that. I was like, she surely cannot have sat down and thought, right, I'm going to refer to myself as this. It must be written for them and they must just have to say it because they are so just mad. And was it Carlo that said something about no one works as hard as me or whatever? He's obsessed with saying that he's, the hardest working person ever. So yeah, I'm really happy we're getting either some good quotes from them or someone in the writer's room is doing a very good job this year.
Absolutely. Similarly with Lord Sugar's jokes as well. He's already had a few clangers.
Yes, that's the way to describe them.
rather than Bozo or something like that. That
was a cringy one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They usually are cringe. That is his brand of humour, but that one was particularly bad. When they were picking project manager, I enjoyed nobody wanted to put their hand up because nobody had claimed to have gone on a tour before of anywhere. Never been on holiday, never had a tour of an office, never looked at a house. No one's ever been on a tour.
Yeah, I did find that slightly odd. Tourless businessmen.
Exactly. They're just They're completely just, not wanting to get that first position because they all know they could probably go home.
Indeed.
So on the other team, Anissa was project manager. And I'll be honest, they started off talking about pricing very early on. People seem to not really know, I guess, how do you know? You've got to come up with a realistic figure, but everyone's going to pitch such a high number because they want to win and they want to get those returns. But in the end, you always see it happen. People sell those tickets for so much less than what they start off with. Yeah. And it happened quite early on in this episode.
Yeah, definitely. I did like the approach of, I think it was Anissa's team saying they'll start high with no expectation to sell it at that. At least there was some realism in that sort of thinking.
There was. Shall we go through some of our top moments now? Because I just have to start off with this first one that really made me both laugh and just cringe beyond belief is when Johnny started to haggle on his pricing on a glacier, and he took charge and he walked up to the person they were trying to talk to, hand outstretched for a handshake, being like, "Hello, wie geht's dir? 100% GCSE German exam." And he also said, "Wunderbar." But before that, he said, "Hi, I'm Johnny and I'm from Kent," which I really loved. That is just what you get taught in GCSE geography, isn't it? Like, "I have one sister and I don't have any pets." He might as well have said that.
Yeah, I have brown eyes.
Yeah. Oh, very cringe.
Although, I don't know. It was cringe, but I don't know. I feel like the thought was there.
It was. He was trying to build a connection, and that's always good. But yeah, I just thought he used all of his German knowledge. And later on, Lord Sugar even spoke about it in the boardroom and made a couple of jokes, something about Victoria's Secret that was equally as cringe as the word wunderbar. So I guess he's one to talk.
Indeed. I'm actually going to two of my top moments I'm going to start with on a positive.
Okay.
And they were actually, funnily enough, both from the losing team. I thought Dr. Jana was really impressive with both of the negotiations he did with the ticket prices and the commission. He seemed to absolutely ace that compared to the other team. And also Chisola, how good was that yodeling? Tim was impressed.
Yeah, she was a natural with the yodeling. And you hardly ever get a positive look from Tim or Karen, so...
Fair play, yeah. So there we go, starting on some positive moments.
That might be our thing. You might have all the positive moments because I've just looked through all of my notes and they are all negative. So you might be good cop and I'm bad cop in our top moments situation.
I've run out of positives now.
Okay, good. We're on the same level now. The next one that I wrote down is the quote, "Why are we flogging to 90-year-olds?" Where they started talking to a man and his 97-year-old father who had just turned 97, trying to get him to go on a mountain e-biking trip, which, hilarious, but not going to be buying it.
Exactly. Dean had the right idea, and I think it was it Carlo just did not take any of that in.
No, not at all.
Disaster.
It wasn't sort of the weirdest business strategy, though. The one that we're going to have to talk about is Kia, because he said to someone, after he'd played a game of rock, paper, scissors to try and get a ticket sale, somebody else came up to him and said, "Look, I just saw you sell it for €50. You offered it to me for 100. And he said the quote, "I'll be honest with you, we played a game of rock, paper, scissors," which I was just cringing. And he wouldn't let her have the ticket for that reduced price. It was very cringe.
Yeah, I'm speechless, to be
No
honest.
words.
I think that was the clangor of the episode.
The other thing that was ridiculous was with Emma and Dr. Jana. They decided to go in with a different strategy about how to sell. One of them was going to go in with a really sort of high price, say a code word, which was bitter, and then Emma was going to come in and go, "Oh, look, he's going to be really annoyed. I think we could sell it for this price." And then he did a really bad job of saying, "Oh, well, we're going to have to sell you it at that now." Oh, really cringe. Bad acting skills.
But 48% commission. It's not bad.
No.
But yeah, it was an interesting plot there.
It was like a plot, wasn't it? It just, rock, paper, scissors, code words, GCSE German, it all felt very school today.
I also have one, a very quick moment, but it was when they were on top of the viewing platform in the glacier and there was some confusion about where the Dolomites are. And then they were like, "The Dolomites are everywhere."
That is a good thing that we need on a t-shirt. The Dolomites are everywhere. Whoever said that needs to go on Instagram now and create it because, yeah, what a quote. But weren't they completely in the opposite direction from where they pointed out? That's what it seemed to be.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, I don't think the participants seemed to mind, but it was a bit of a shambles.
It was. I think that's the thing, isn't it? We also have already said it's either fun or facts, and it always seems to be the thing of somebody gets given the impossible task of memorizing all these facts or having something to say as a script, and because of the situation, because they're on The Apprentice, they've got not very long to learn it, and then they end up just forgetting everything or getting it completely wrong. And sometimes it's kind of okay if you can blag it and just seem confident. I think that's what Johnny was trying to do until he couldn't remember that they were in Innsbruck, which was a big mistake. And I think it was Emma again talking about honey and how honey is made. And I'll be honest, well, it wasn't the most appealing speech about how honey is made. It didn't want me to eat it after a lot of the mating chat. But she said a fact, and I believe it was Dr. Jana again, came in and said, sorry, that's not quite right. Corrected
I think
her.
it was... I think in his defence, I think he only corrected her after someone at the back, I think the honey experts, was like, no.
Very cringe.
I feel like they jumped in and put their foot in it.
They did a bit. I'm not really sure why they did that. Maybe it was just that embarrassing. They couldn't sit there morally and listen to it. I did write a quote down, and it is going to bring down the tone of the podcast, I'm afraid, but it is about bees, so hopefully people aren't too offended. They were discussing about bees mating, obviously, and the quote I wrote down was, they took their time with her, and as soon as they'd mated with her, they passed out and died. Okay. Great. Thanks for the science lesson.
Okay, so it's this time again where we both potentially make massive fools of ourselves. And this, of course, is the elevator pitch. So if you're new to Back to the Boardroom, we set ourselves a task every week and give us a short amount of time on the clock, usually less than a minute, to basically pitch something to you, the lovely listeners, and of course Lord Sugar. And you can decide who wins at home. You can contact us, and it's a little bit of fun and obviously a little bit of competitiveness.
Yes, and it gives us anxiety, but it allows you to laugh at both of us, which is always good.
Absolutely. It's definitely the most nerve-wracking part of the show for me.
Same. I'm on edge now.
Okay, so this week, we decided this just before the show. We were going to pick a item from our kitchen and sell it to you, essentially. Pitch why you should buy this item. We are having 30 seconds on the clock, and Greer, would you like to go first?
Oh, I guess. I hope I can sell this item better than the honey, like they were doing on the episode. Let me just say, ahead of revealing my kitchen item, James and I have randomly picked something. We were nervous we might have got the same item. I regret picking this up, but there we go. I'm not sure exactly how to sell it to you, but we'll just see what happens.
Okay.
Do I show you what it is first before my time?
No.
Oh
it's
my God.
included in the 30 seconds. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1, go.
Well, thanks for coming on this tour. Today we're going to talk to you all about Marmite. And this is a very specific Marmite jar that we want to sell to you. There is a range of them. As you can see, the lid, it's quite secure on because it's been used several times and it's quite sticky, so you can't get the lid back off. It's also at a slant, as you can see too. There's some Marmite remnants on it as well, so really it's not just Marmite, it's a bit of a work of art, and it's also a game to try and be able to open it, see who is the strong enough person. There you go.
There we go.
I have Marmite
seconds.
on me from finding this.
Fantastic. We haven't got the same condiment.
Good. We weren't sure, so I asked James whether the condiment that he had chosen, whether it had to be eaten at a certain time of day, and he assures me not at breakfast. So I'm intrigued about what you've chosen. Right.
Okay.
Okay. 30 seconds on the clock. There is now Marmite on my phone. And are you ready? Okay, your time starts now.
Okay, I'm going to sell you Nando's sweet chili jam. Unlike Greer's, it's unopened, so perfect for first-time use. So yes, this sweet chili jam, as you can see, is a medium. So if you like spice, and if you don't like spice, it should be okay for you either way. Put it on halloumi. Do it now. You won't regret it.
Is that it? 5 seconds left.
5 seconds. You can also put it on chicken, burgers, sandwiches. Who knows? Go for it.
Love it. You can put it on halloumi. Do it now. The Dolomites are everywhere.
But yes, I am partial to a bit of Nando's sweet chili jam.
I actually considered bringing a Nando's condiment in because my sister bought us some because she used to work at Nando's. So we have a few that are unopened, and I considered it, but I didn't want to reach that high in the cupboard. I'm that lazy. So, yeah.
I think we did quite well.
We did all right.
I ended a bit too early, but we can improve that.
Yours was more appetizing. I was trying to sell mine as sort of like a work of art rather than just Marmite.
Just
I need to stop picking
thinking
this up.
outside the box.
As always. Yeah. So, who do you think has won? I mean, as always, I'm holding out hope. Please let us know who you were more compelled to buy the item from. James or myself, let us know on @BackToTheBoardroom on Instagram. Surely you want Marmite as art. But halloumi, do it now.
Do it now.
So now we have James's favourite part of Back to the Boardroom, and it's something that we do at the beginning of every season of the show. We go through some of our predictions for the candidates, who's going to win, who's going to go out next, and also some of James's more unique statistic-based predictions. So if you want to play along with us as well, let us know what you think at Back to the Boardroom on Instagram. But I'm excited to hear what James has cooked up for our predictions this year.
Now, you might be slightly disappointed because a lot of them are repeats.
That's fine.
Nevertheless, they are very important. And we do have some previous stats to go off of.
Yes.
Now, if you listened to our pre-show show last week, you'll know that we already did some blind predictions, which I won't remind you of those. We will recap them as we go through the series. But obviously now we have some actual data from episode 1 to get an idea, a flavour, if you like, of what to expect and how, I guess...
What everyone's like.
Yeah, some informed predictions.
Yes. I don't know. I worry because you've still got the stats from last year. You'll have remembered them more about how many times things were done, what happened at this point in the show and stuff, whereas I've completely forgotten. So I feel like that puts me at a bit of a disadvantage, but I feel like maybe I can get the people-based questions okay.
So don't worry, I'm going to... Obviously, we start with the most important, which is the narrator hour prediction. And I'm going to give you some stats just to remind you of what happened last season. So, we had 18 distinct hours across the 12 episodes. I can't remember who predicted what, but we had 18. And just to give you a bit more of a flavour for how it's looking, in the first episode last season, we had 3 distinct hours. And in the first episode this season, we had 6. So we've had double already.
Wow, that's surprising. Okay.
Yeah. And a fun fact for you, both seasons started on 11 a.m.
Interesting. Okay. It's like we're part of the production team now. Now we know when everything begins. Now that's
Indeed.
interesting. So do we pick a number that is higher than last year? But you also have to remember that it's not the total number of hours individually that are mentioned. It is all the hours across the day. So if we're thinking about that, maybe it's not worth guessing higher because there will be some hours when they're asleep.
Yes.
So it was, did you say 18 last year?
It was 18 last year, yes.
Okay. So I think my prediction is going to be 17 this year.
Ooh. Okay. I've gone with 19.
Oh, of course you have.
So both using using the base as a starting point.
Yeah.
But you're going for the more distinct hours in the first episode being a red herring.
Yes, I am.
Okay, fantastic. So we move on very quickly to the next one, which is a combination of predictions we did last year. So I want to know, will there be a double firing? And if so, how many?
Okay. Yes, there'll be a double firing because it's become a staple of the show now. I am going to say there will be 2 distinct double firings in this season.
Interesting. Okay, I think there'll only be one.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on. Worst project manager out of obviously the remaining.
Okay. This is where I'm going to consult the list of who we've got. The worst project manager.
And by the way, a twist, you get negative points if the person leaves the process before even having the chance.
Oh my gosh, okay. So I've got to pick someone that will be project manager, so they can't be terrible enough to leave. Okay, that's hard. Okay, I'm going to say my worst project manager is Kia.
Kia, okay. Interesting.
Because of rock, paper, scissors. I don't know. That's a hard one.
I have gone with Nadia.
Oh, okay. We've both done a similar thing. Think of who has been interesting in the first episode.
I think there'll be fireworks. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
On a similar theme, biggest blunder.
Well, we've had some blunders from Johnny already with not knowing where the Dolomites are. So, do I stick with Johnny? Yes, going to stick with Johnny.
Johnny, okay. And I think Frederick is going to give us a blunder.
Okay.
A motivational speaker.
Maybe.
Okay, fantastic. Yes. Now, I was going to ask this one, but I'm not really sure because obviously, unlike before, the teams haven't been named yet. And if you remember, we predicted a score. How many will one team win compared to the other?
Yeah.
So I'm still going to go for that, and we can work out who won.
Yeah. We can call them Glacier and Forest this week.
Exactly. Yes, Glacier and Forest. Yeah. Okay. And you can so obviously Glacier are 1-0 up, and I'm going to assume it's 10 out of 10 possible weeks.
Yep.
Because you've got the interviews and the final, which don't count. So what are you thinking?
That's really hard. Last year, it was interesting because one of the candidates was in the losing team for such a long time.
Yeah.
I think... do I have to say the number that I think they'll get, both of them?
Yes.
I'm going to be really annoying and say out of 10, they're going to get 5 wins each.
Okay. I've gone for 6-4 to Glacier.
Okay. I couldn't pick.
Okay, fantastic. Right, and rounding off these ones we've just got now, finally the runner-up and the winner.
From the people that we've seen, I have to change it from the people that we chose previously.
Yes. So the runner-up, you chose as Dean, and I chose Frederick.
Yes.
So I'm going to go with Dr. Jaina as my runner-up. How about you, Greer?
Runner-up, I'm going to say Mia.
Mia, okay.
If we have to be different.
And then the winner, obviously, you went with Max and I went with Jordan.
I still would like to go with Max, but I'm going to pick a different one for this prediction, just so I've got 2 in the game. So I'd still do back Max, but I'm going to say Anissa, I think, here.
Anissa, okay. There's a theme here because last year you picked Amina to win.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I don't know why I remember that.
That's funny.
I'm going to go very left field and I'm going to pick Dean to win.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
Mr. Air Conditioner.
Well,
there we go.
If he wins, I'll still do well because it was in my previous prediction. So
Indeed. There we go. There's our episode 1 predictions for Back to the Boardroom.
Now let's go back to the boardroom and find out what Lord Sugar thought of the candidates, the task, and their pricing strategies this year. I'm always surprised when we come back into the boardroom and we're actually told just how much money the teams have brought in, because it always looks like on the main part of the show that they're running around not selling anything, or it comes right down to the wire. So it's always interesting to hear what Karen and Tim have been noting down. I didn't necessarily realise from just watching the chaos unfold, because I wasn't really concentrating on the numbers, that Anissa's team was going to come back with a loss, 166 euros. Never good to come back with a loss to Lord Sugar.
No. I mean, I really thought they could turn it around with the honey sales, but some losses are insurmountable.
Yes. It's all those facts they got wrong about the honey. Not good. And then the other team did even better than I was expecting on the profit, 230 euros in profit there as well. And they looked very happy when that was announced.
I genuinely thought it would be closer, but those ticket sales really, really let the Forest team down.
Usually in week 1, we're always saying don't be project manager, and that's what people were thinking at the beginning. But this year, Lord Sugar was actually concentrating on some of the other candidates to find out exactly what they did. I think the rock, paper, scissors was a big no. He was considering that. But Emma is the one that went and was fired. And I was quite surprised because, okay, she wasn't loud and out there as some of the other candidates, but I don't think she had a fair chance to show everyone who she was and what she could do as a business person.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I was almost certain that it would either be Kia or Carlo.
Yes.
To be
I
honest.
thought it would be Kia.
Yeah, I was leaning towards Kia, I'd say. So that certainly came as a surprise. Lord Sugar normally gives people one more chance if they haven't shown enough potential or evidence. So, yeah, bit surprised. But
I don't think she got as stuck in as maybe some of the others. She was there talking about honey. She did, do some of the work. But I guess in the actual business side of things, maybe not so much. And sometimes we always say that Lord Sugar maybe has works out the vibe of some people and decides whether he'd want to work with them or not. And I guess if she was being quite timid, maybe he thought, okay, it's not someone that I can work with going forward, and I'm interested to see a bit more about what Kia and Carlo were up to, because they were putting themselves out there. So who knows, but I wish she did have a little bit of a chance to shine. Indeed. A little bit more. And
Lord Sugar seems to be mixing it up, like straight away from the get-go. The project manager hasn't chosen who to bring back. He sent a few people away and told the project manager she's safe, and then focused on the rest, really.
Definitely. And that was right at the beginning of the episode as well, when it wasn't a boys v girls team, which is what he usually does. It was the back rows swapped right at the beginning. And I think that's quite good, because you are always in a danger with shows like this that come round every year of being very predictable, doing the same thing, but there's only so much that you can shake up in the format. So these little changes I think are quite good, and hopefully that continues throughout the series.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully a little taster for what's to come. Speaking of the boardroom, there is one thing I do want to add. Actually, two things. One is more tenuous. Obviously, we can't have an episode of Back to the Boardroom without analysing the secretary. And I don't have much to report, but at the start, when all the candidates first came into the process, she had a nice bar chart and a pie chart up. So, yeah, very pleasing.
Was it on a spreadsheet as usual?
It was on a spreadsheet, probably Microsoft Excel.
So she's hard at work, not just waiting for the phone to ring, she's analysing data at the same time.
Indeed. Unfortunately, because it's only episode 1, I'm a bit rusty, so I didn't get any labels from that graph, but bear with me.
Next week, the TV will be paused.
Indeed. More tenuously and not about the boardroom, we did get a look at Tim's iPad.
Oh, okay.
I was quite interested what apps he had.
What would have been, do you think, an embarrassing app for Tim to have on his iPad?
That's a good question. I mean, I'm going to avoid the obvious dating apps, but...
That's true. I was just thinking, like, what is something he could have on there that we're like, wait, did you see that Tim had this?
Angry Birds.
Angry Birds would be good. Yeah, that would be cool. I'm trying to think what apps that I've got that would be weird if Tim had now.
So there weren't really any weird ones. There was practically all of the default apps, but there was 2 non-default apps. So it was Gmail.
Nice.
And also, of course, BBC iPlayer.
Okay. Production team's iPad.
Exactly.
As you know, James loves having a look at what's going on the screen. But one thing you also love is analysing the treat or lack of a treat. And as soon as we heard this week that it was go back to the house and there will be a drink waiting for you, one drink, I thought James is going to be pulling his hair out. What did you think when you heard that?
Yeah, this show has just turned into a cathartic rant for me. But yes, oh my goodness, I had a feeling that this would be, it is the worst treat. Like, hey, you've got a house and have a drink. Well, the losers get the house too, don't they? So really, all you've got is a head start on the losing team and a glass of champagne or orange juice if you would rather that. So on the scale of how good a treat is, it's a 0 out of 10. It's the worst.
Talking of Apprentice news, I have had a little look at all of the tabloids this week to see if anything juicy was coming out about the candidates, the process, the first episode, and something I found is about the house, unsurprisingly. Last year we had lots of house info, and as it's the first week and the first treat, I thought it was only right to find something house related. There's lots, as you can imagine, sensational news stories out there about The Apprentice ruined my mental health and things like that we've spoken about before that are a little bit sad. So I thought, let's stick with something that is slightly mad, but it's from Rhys Donnelly, who you may remember back from 2023. He left the process sort of halfway through due to a health reason, but he did speak to the newspapers again this year and talked about what happened in the house when they weren't allowed their phones, what fun they got up to. And I mean, it does sound fun, but also a bit random. If you're a serious business person, you would have got annoyed at these people. So he said he remembers one day where the candidates were playing hide and seek together, and on a day off, they started to create their own sports day in the back garden, which, okay, fine, if you don't have your phone, right. But But something that I thought was a little bit strange is that they pulled out all of the mattresses into the hall and were trying to do gymnastics onto them. Strange. There was a tumbling track. They were trying to do backflips. And apparently the production team were like, what is everyone doing? Are you all 12-year-olds? But they had a lot of fun. So I think that probably rattled the production team, especially if you're taking out mattresses off the beds and then doing handstands and things on them in the hall.
It's quite a lot of effort, yeah. I thought they'd just play croquet.
Yeah, obviously. What school did you go to when you were playing croquet on your sports day?
I did not play croquet on my sports day. Full disclosure.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, a weird one. I just thought, okay, they're going stir crazy in their hide and seek I can probably get, but yeah, taking off all the bed sheets and stuff just to do a few forward rolls, very odd.
Yeah, exactly. How do they have the energy after all of the long tasks they have to do?
I don't know. I wonder how much time they have off between the tasks as well. That's something that I'd like to know. If there are days of downtime, it must be really boring. Surely they do have a laptop or something, do some work, or, I don't know, watch BBC iPlayer. There's something to do, surely, but it doesn't sound like it if that's their source of entertainment.
A maybe tenuous link from Apprentice News. Now, I did promise that we would have a look at where the candidates are now. That's where the candidates from last season are, what they are doing. So I thought I would look at Ollie Medforth, who was the first firing of last season. And my detective work isn't that great, so you'll have to apologise. But I did have a look at his Instagram and I have noted 3 things.
Okay, what are they? You're laughing, I'm concerned.
He has been to America. that is one.
Okay, some real stalking happening here.
It looks like he likes his shooting. There are a few photos with him in what's the sort of like shooting attire.
Okay. Yes.
And also a picture of him with a shotgun, which is kind of a clue.
Yep.
And finally, he launched the Alternative brand.
Ah.
Which is, I believe, salted caramel and chocolate brownie vodka.
That sounds good. That's my favourite fact out of the 3. If I had to pick between America shooting and salted caramel vodka, that's what I'm going for.
Interestingly, as well as the vodka, he does sell packs of brownies. And I believe that was from... I believe he didn't put flour in potentially some brownies on the show.
Yes, there was something, wasn't there, last season?
And I guess that's become quite infamous with him, so he's selling brownies too.
That's pretty good. I like it. He is slightly capitalising on his Apprentice experience, which I think is the key, especially when you go out early on and you're not sort of a name that's remembered from being in the boardroom later in the series. So I think that's a good idea. I'm pleased that his chocolate business is thriving. So that's it for episode 1. We've been to Austria. We've learnt how bees make honey, and we have no idea where the Dolomites are. So I think it's a good episode to kick off for the season. I think there's going to be some more funny things happening, and we're going to talk about them here on Back to the Boardroom. So make sure you share this episode with all your friends and family, obviously, and head over to our Instagram at Back to the Boardroom to follow us and let us know who you think won the elevator pitch this week. Vote Marmite. He's going
chili.
Vote chili. Next week we'll be back talking all about the Apprentice episode, where they're going to be creating a virtual pop star, which I think is going to be one of the best of the season. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Join us for that voyage.
Yes, I like it. So thanks for listening. We'll be back at the same time next week. And James, do you have a final thought for us this week?
I do. I wonder where they get the iconic blue and yellow attire from that they have every year of The Apprentice. Who supplies that?
Something for your Instagram stalking.
See you next time.
See you later.
Bye.